My name is Professor Mel Lewis. I tell my students they can call me by my first name. It's Professor. Yeah. I'm the Energy Sector Chief for InfraGard in the New Jersey division, and I'm also a professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University. I've been involved with EMP SIG for about 4 years since it started, and with InfraGard since 2009. I was in the defense industry for 37 years full-time before that. Now you're trying to figure out how old I am, right? So, so we had a meeting of InfraGard. We have one every month in New Jersey. I'm a New Jersey person, and they asked me to give a talk on EMP because they knew I was involved with the EMP SIG. So I did a PowerPoint presentation, about 30 slides, based in part on what I had learned a year ago here. And so I did that talk in February to our InfraGard people in New Jersey, and they, at our FBI field office in Newark, and they asked me if I could do that again in New York City. So they made the arrangements for me to do New York City as well. And then they, after that, they took me to lunch, and they said, we really need to take this to the next level. And my personality being what it is, I kind of offered that I could be a chair of a committee to take it to the next level. So we decided that we would form a committee. It's called the New York Area EMP SIG Regional Committee. And we've had some meetings by a conference call, and most recently in person. We held it at my university. The next one's probably going to be at the Maritime College in the Bronx, Queens border. And what we do is we talk about ways of sharing information with each other. That's our main focus. If we learn something that the other people on the committee, such as we have New York Power Authority, we have people former military, we have former FBI. We have about 13, 14 people on the committee now, if you include me, and we're looking for more people. We just got 3 more people here interested, and we're going to be doing a tabletop exercise that would involve having a couple more meetings for our event in something like late winter, end of March timeframe. It will not be exactly like we did here, but rather it would be the kind where you have representatives from government, from the emergency services, the first responders, the infrastructure people such as the power company, water utilities, things like that. They would be coming. Not high level, not the governor, not the AG. That's something we're not interested in doing at this point. So if you're interested, I put some literature on the front table here. You can come up and get it sometime today. I put my business card for both the committee and for my university contact. You can reach out to me if you're in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut. Perhaps Chuck can talk about maybe there are other regions in the country that would like to form a similar group. That's not for me to say. All right, thank you.
Congressman Bartlett has a great story to tell you. Somebody mentioned earlier about the meeting with Russians and the implied threats of doing an EMP attack on the United States. Congressman Bartlett was in that room. He's going to tell us that story. Come on up, Congressman, and let us know how that's played out.
I don't think it was an implied threat. There were 11 congressmen. We were in a hotel room in Vienna, Austria, and we went there to negotiate with 3 prominent Russians, and the personal representative was Slobodan Milosevic was there. Vladimir Lukin was the ambassador here at the end of Bush 1, the beginning of Clinton, and he was at that time the chair of their equivalent of our International Relations Committee. He sat there in that hotel room, angry, with his short arms crossed, looking at the ceiling for about 3 days. And finally he said, "Why should we help you when you spit on us?" And what he meant was that the Clinton administration had told the Russians, you don't need to get involved here, we'll take care of that, thank you, we're big boys now. And the reality was that the Serbs were going to listen only to Russia. They had no respect for us. And then he said this. He said, if we really wanted to hurt you, with no fear of retaliation, we'd launch an SLBM. If it comes from the ocean, who knows where it came from. We'd detonate a weapon high above your country in the atmosphere. We would shut down your power grid and your communications for 6 months or so. The third-ranking communist was there. His name was Alexander Shabanov. And he smiled and said, if one weapon wouldn't do it, we have some spares. I think at that time it was about 10,000 spares that they had. Well, this was a Russian ambassador in front of 11 congressmen saying right out front that they were considering an EMP attack on our country. I don't think it was an implied threat. I guess he was angry enough that he kind of lost his cool because he was really angry. It was a really interesting experience, and I was privileged to be there.
I talked a bit ago with Curtis, and he and I agreed on one overlap on all these various threats. There's not much overlap on how you prepare for physical or cyber or solar or EMP. Quite a bit different technologies for protecting things on each one. However, on a different level, in the enemy's viewpoint, you will see a lot of overlap in the sense that there's an old saying, never waste a perfectly good disaster in a political situation or in warfare. If we protect the United States in all areas, we have a much better chance of not having them finish the job with something. If, for instance, if solar takes us down halfway, they won't be ready to take us down with cyber or physical assault or something else. There's a massive overlap. If all of our bases are covered somewhat, it's much better than having any one sucker punch possible. So there is an overlap in the sense that all these things support each other. We should support solar so we don't get attacked later by something else if we're halfway down. That was about it, I guess. Thank you.